welcome to another episode of My Cool Friends. If this is your first time joining us today, first let me say, hello, how are you? There's punch and cookies on your way in through the door. I am your host. My name is Ben Ebig. Online leaders depend on me to guide them to bring their audiences together, all in through the same room, through what I like to call the Ebig Matrix. Today, my friends, we have a very special guest with us today. It is spooky season, and today we are going to be absolutely direct and in your face, much like the spooks of the season. We have with us today. We have one of us among us. We have another author among us. I know. She is the author of the new book, Get Your Shit Together. She has a long list of accolades. She is a #1 international best-selling author. She is a breakthrough strategist at Amy Joy Coaching. She has been a top seller. She has been a top sales representative at Provac, and she is also a member of Wingman Coaching. Ladies and gentlemen, I am proud to bring to you today, yes, indeed, all members of the audience, I am proud to bring to you today, Miss Amy Joy!
Thank you, Ben.
Hello, Amy. Welcome. Yes, I did say all members of the audience, and indeed we have some. Hello there, Janichi Lake.
Hello.
Amy, thank you so much for joining us today. How are you on this fine evening?
Thank you. Yes, I'm amazing. It's a beautiful day.
I must say we've almost teased at like what she's the author of what? Yes, she's the author of Get Your Shit Together. Tell us, what exactly is this book about?
Well, it's pretty direct. I'm kind of direct, not kind of. I'm very direct. And I think that's what we're doing in life, is getting our shit together. And so this book is just the story of how I did that, am doing that. I don't think it's a done thing. I think it's a constant thing. And specifically, it's helping to reprogram. I believe we've all been given programs from our childhood, from our parents, from our schools, government, language, friends, all of those things, programs we didn't ask for, and many of which don't serve us. And so it's realizing and recognizing which programs you have and choosing whether you want to keep them or not, and then the process of how you reprogram yourself so you can design the life that you want.
And how do you... This is such a great topic. Yeah. I was just thinking about you, Janichi. Like, how do you undo bad programming? How do you recognize it and then choose to undo bad programming?
That's a great question. So the first thing you have to do is know that you have a program. Most people don't know. Most people think they're actually choosing through life, but we're really not. We have two minds, the subconscious mind and the conscious mind. And the subconscious mind is 95% of our mind. That means we're 95% zombie and 5% awake. This is not good news, I know. However, it's possible to train your elephant. I feel like the subconscious mind is your elephant. And imagine you're riding an elephant and your legs are part of the elephant. You cannot jump off. So you must train your elephant, or else it's going to run on whatever program was given to you as a child that you didn't ask for. And so you got to train your elephant. And so it's by questions, asking questions of yourself. What do I believe? What am I thinking? What really does run me? And then go, whoa, that isn't even true. And then you change it. And it's very systematic. And there's so many questions, hundreds of questions in here, so that you can step by step do the work.
Wow. And the first step is acknowledging that the elephant exists.
Yes.
And then we have to how... we were making it sound simple, like, oh, we have to train the elephant, And it's easy to accept these programs like when we're a kid and we're like seeing the entire world. But then we've been riding the elephant for 40 years. Like all I know how to do is ride this elephant. Ride this
Yes.
elephant straight. It's like we're saying this like it's like, oh, just do something different. Like what's it like to watch someone go through this process and try to do it?
Oh my goodness, it's the best. It's my favorite thing. Is because awareness is what it's all about. If we're not aware, then we're just a zombie. And I refuse. I refuse to be a zombie. At least I try to minimize how often I'm a zombie. And so when you watch other people wake up, so I want you to visualize like thousands of people up against the fence as zombies, right?
Mhm.
You can see it, right? And then imagine you waking up and going, and you see everybody else up against the fence, and you're like, wait a second, I'm not a zombie. And so you turn around and you go the other way. And that's what this is what reprogramming does, is allows you to choose actually where you want to go and why. And you're going to know all that through answering all the questions. So yeah, it's fun. It's freedom. It's about freedom.
Freedom. And Janiji says, awesome, knowing that we are born into ideas and beliefs already playing out, not with them. Absolutely. Thank you for that, Janiji. I love this
name.
idea of like good programming and bad programming. It feels like so many people are on autopilot, like, oh hey, I see this and therefore I must react to it, and therefore I must insert your vocabulary from like comment on it, or buy it. Like I've been told to buy it, therefore like, oh, I guess it's July. That means I need to go buy alcohol and buy hot dogs because it's that season.
Right. Yeah, it's awareness. Do I want that?
Mhm.
Is that best for me? No. Okay. So now I'm not going to do that anymore. Easy.
So when we've reached this point of awareness,
yes.
It's like, I don't have to fit into this mold. I don't have to be like everyone else. And I don't have to be a zombie. But now what am I? Like I've escaped the programming.
Yeah.
And now I want to identify myself, but now now it's like, oh, I feel like empty. Now I need new programming. What's my programming? How do we identify that?
Well, that takes time, and that takes intention, and that takes a lot of really great questions. Tony Robbins is one of my mentors, and he says, if you ask a crappy question, you get a crappy answer, like, why me? Like, that's a crappy question. But if you ask an outstanding question, like, what do I want out of my life? How do I want to feel about my day? Who do I want to be? What characters do I want to represent and feel and act out on a daily basis? What do I want to accomplish and why? Right? When you do all that, those are great questions. And so it takes time to sit down and really dig in deep and say, what is it that is important to me actually? Not what my mom told me, not what my spouse told me. What do I want actually? And then you get to go be that and do that with intention.
Right. And how often whether with ourselves or to others, how often do we actually get asked those questions?
Almost never.
Right. And so we're never acting.
Because we're all on a program.
Right. We're all on programs.
We're all walking around with elephants. We don't even know it.
Right. And I'm the computer nerd, so I think about like programs in the literal sense. Like you put something into a program, like, oh, if it does this, then that. Like if I type these words in, if I type this words in, or if I type in a 0, then it does this sequence of things. And that's like the literal sense of a program, but also like the human sense of a program is very similar. Like if I tell like this group of people to do this, then this action happens.
Yes, exactly. So if someone cuts you off in traffic, you get angry, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then all of a sudden you're aware that you're riding an elephant, say, yep, okay, yeah, I know we normally get angry, but today we're going this way. And the elephant's going to go, what? We always get angry. And we spend the rest of the day angry. I don't understand. And he's going to throw a fit on you. And you're going to say, I know. But today we're going to go this way. Today we're not going to get angry. We're going to understand that guy might be in a really bad emergency. And so we're just
Right.
going to give him the benefit of the doubt today. And the elephant's going to go, I don't understand, but okay, we're going to go this way. And
That's
the more you do that, the more the elephant gets in line.
that's a powerful statement all on its own. Like, how many people don't realize that their emotions are a choice of their own?
Oof. It's my mission, Ben. It's my mission to let the world know they have a choice. That they can choose their emotions and how they feel about their day and their week and their year and their life. Yes, we have a choice.
I give the example, like, okay, let's say something happens in the news, and it's like, oh, hey, it's a big thing, and it's a catastrophe, and it's like, oh my, well, like, why has this happened? But then when that piece of news breaks out, why is it that tens of thousands of people all have different reactions to it? Because if our emotions weren't a choice, they were just something that happened, theoretically, all those people would have the exact same reaction to that piece of news.
Right.
Since we're all having something different, that means emotions must be a choice of our own.
Yes. Absolutely.
We got some comments here from Janiji. Suffering is optional.
Oh, yes.
And we can have the life our mind was programmed to give us versus have the life we choose to have. That is absolutely fantastic, and I love the conversation that we're having. So I'd love to know, like, what are some things. So you mentioned that you learn under Tony Robbins, and we've also established previously in our conversation that you also do your own coaching. What are some things that you have learned both from receiving coaching as well as giving coaching?
Oof. I would need a whole lot more time, Ben.
All right,
I have been a
with
serious student of coaching for 8 years. I had a coach weekly. My kids and I have 2 sons, and then I have an adopted son that I took in when he was 16 and raised him till he was 19. So I have 3 sons that are in my heart, and we went to our coach every week for 6 years. That's how important coaching is. And I have 3 coaches right now for different things in my life. I will always have a coach. There will never be a time that I don't have a coach. I don't feel I have the right to be a coach if I don't have a coach, because there's constant learning, and we can't see our own stuff. We have blinders on, right? And so our coaches are able to help us. So this is why I love being a coach, because now I get to help others, and it's super fulfilling. And no, my coaches changed my life. My coaches have changed my life. I just coach so many coaches. I mean, you should see all the what do you call the things you hang around your neck with your card that has your name on it from a conference? Lanyards. I have like stacks of them. No, learning is my favorite thing. Yeah.
Awesome. So like you met, like, you've touched on a little, like, that kind of answers my question though. It's like it's not just a, like, oh hey, I learned and now I graduated. Like, it's a constant. She says, oh no. It's a constant learning process.
Yeah, there's no arrival. You can get competent, in things, but to say that you've arrived, I don't think there's such a thing. There's always room for growth.
Absolutely. And speaking on the topic of growth, what sort of growth topics do we touch on in your book?
Oof. Well, so we have to work on the mindset, right? To reprogram, you have to change your mindset. You can't keep thinking the same thing and expect a different result, right? You have to change what you're thinking. We work, right, exactly. So we work on that first. And then what is it that you want, right? So if you don't want to do what you're presently doing, what is it that you do want? And then figuring out the why, because if you don't know why you want it, you're not going to change. We'll do more to avoid pain than move towards pleasure. So we have to know the pain of not changing. And we also need to know the pleasure if we do change. And when we know both, then we'll go like a rocket to wherever it is that we're going. But again, we don't ask ourselves good questions. So we don't even know what the cost is or what the benefit would be, right? But when we know, and we have pages of them, nothing can stop you from going wherever it is that you want to go, right? So it's step by step with that. And then there's a lot of healing. So I don't know if this is too woo-woo or not, but I do energy trauma release work. And traumas get stuck in our bodies due to stuff that we didn't ask for, right? There's 3 ways trauma gets stuck in your body. 1, it's acute, in that you think it's a big deal. And just like you said, Ben, 2 people can go through the same thing and have completely different reactions to it. But if you feel like it's a big deal, then it can be a trauma for you. If you feel like you're alone, then that can be a trauma for you, right? If you feel like nobody else gets it, right? And then the 3rd way is it came as a surprise. You weren't expecting it and it came as a surprise. So most traumas, a lot of traumas, the ones that really get stuck have all 3 aspects to them. And so you can do all the mindset work that you want, but it doesn't make a difference as far as what gets stuck in your body. And so you got to move that out. There's a lot of ways to move that out, and I explain many of them in my book. And yoga, screaming, crying, lots of things. But what I do is I'm an energy worker, and I can move that energy right out, and it creates huge relief for people. And they can see things. They go through life completely different, feeling different. Their perception the trauma is gone. So what would happen before is they'd almost start crying, thinking about it, to having no charge about it. They're like, yeah, that happened.
This weight, almost like this weight of whatever form that may have taken.
Yes.
Is away now.
Exactly. It's really quite magical, and I'm just really grateful for the energy healers in my life that have helped me, and then now I'm able to help in that way as well. So when you work on your mind and you work on getting that trauma out, that's when you can create real, true freedom in yourself.
Wow. I want to talk, you touched on a little bit about like, the pain of staying stagnant.
Oof.
Yeah. That idea of like, we as human beings will always go towards whatever is like most comfortable in the moment.
Yep.
But then there's that conversation of like, we've made that decision now for 5 years, and now nothing has changed. And I have a few stories of my own, but I'd like to ask you to like, how do you have that conversation in a way that's like, oh hey, what happens if you do nothing for the next, like, what happens if you keep making that decision, like almost sending their thoughts into the next 5 years?
Absolutely. Well, you have to ask the question, number 1. And I had to do that with myself. I used to live in the jungles of Papua New Guinea in a tribal village with an abusive husband. And behind closed doors, it was hell. And it was to the point where I needed to flee with my 2 boys when they were 2 and 4 years old to just to get safe. And I fled back to Canada, and I got full custody of my kids. And then, long story short, had to run again. And I literally ran to Mexico and hid here for 12 years. And so how I had to get to the point of like realizing, like, if I don't leave, if I don't make this huge move, and it was not small. I wasn't just leaving my husband. I was leaving my career, and I was leaving my whole community, because it was more or less a very conservative religious group with cultish tendencies. And so they couldn't accept anybody who was divorced. And so by leaving my ex, I was leaving my whole community, and basically hundreds of people stopped talking to me. And I knew that would happen if I left. So this was huge, right? What if I stay and what if I go? And what is the cost? What is
Mhm.
the cost if I stay and what is the cost if I go? And I had to really weigh it out, and it wasn't an easy choice at all. And it's why I probably stayed way longer than I should have, honestly, because I didn't want to go. I didn't want to leave everyone. I didn't want to be alone, you know? And but the cost if I stayed was how could I look my kids in the eyes and say that I did everything? What am I teaching them? They're going to learn how to abuse someone that their significant other. Like, no, I can't do this anymore. And a lady on a plane actually was the tipping point for me. You know how a stewardess says, you know, in the case of lack of cabin pressure, masks will fall from the ceiling. If you're with a child, place the mask on yourself first and
Mhm.
then assist the child. And I out loud said, heck no, I wouldn't do it. And the lady next to me, she says, honey. And I was like, yes. And she says, if you're not around, who's going to take care of the kids? And my
Did
mouth
she know
hung
you had
open.
kids?
They were with me on the plane,
Oh,
two little
okay.
babies, 2-year-old and a newborn. And I looked at her and my mouth hung open for a long time. And it was the first time that I can remember that I realized that I factored in to my own life. It had
Oh.
never occurred to me because I grew up where you give, serve, serve, which is a beautiful thing in lots of ways, but not to the point of your own detriment, which is what I did constantly.
Mhm.
And so it was from that moment on, I started going, wait a second. I factor in. I don't have to sacrifice myself for everybody else. And I started making different choices, which allowed me to leave when it was time to leave. So yeah.
Wow. It it's that like at like every sort of like little action. It's that eye-opening thing of like, you know, you're consciously saying, "Oh, this is okay." And then the realization of like, "Wait, this is not okay. This isn't okay for me to socially say that this is acceptable, because then that's the precedent that you're
Yeah,
setting moving forward for those that are for any and all that might be watching."
exactly. And here's the thing, if you don't like what's going on and you don't make a change and you stay, then you need to understand that you chose that.
Right.
You are choosing that. You're no longer being a victim isn't an option for me.
Right.
We're not victims. We choose. We
And it's
choose.
um that also then goes into like the victim mindset, which is the like, "Oh no, I don't have a choice. This is my identity." Like this is
Right.
like, I was like, yeah, you're already giggling. You're already giggling as I say.
It's just not true.
Right.
It's a
Like,
lie. We've been told so many lies.
mm-hmm. Like one of my favorite ones is like, I was working with someone, and they were like very clearly like transgender, and they I had a lot of conversations with this person, but one sentence stood out amongst all the others, and it was that like, "Oh no, I have to watch the news. I don't like, you have the privilege to not watch the news, but I have to watch the news." Like,
Mm.
no, you don't. That's a conscious decision that you make on a daily basis. You don't have to do anything because of your race or gender or otherwise, but that is like, that, like, again, that goes back to our conversation about programming. If A, then B.
Yes. Yes, exactly. And it's true you don't have to watch the news. The reason I know this is I haven't watched it in like 40 years.
You've got me beat. I haven't watched it in like 3 or 5 ish.
Well, yay. So good. They call it programming. They
Yeah,
literally call it programming. It's what's happening.
yeah. I was like, the last thing was like, I walked in on someone watching like a reality show or something, it was like reality shows and like soap operas. So I walked and I was like, "Are you enjoying this? Like, why do you keep yelling at the TV? Like, why do you have these visceral reactions to like this thing that you choose to watch on a regular basis? Like, it doesn't make you feel good. Nothing's
We have a
happening."
choice. Change the channel.
Yes.
Change it.
Oh my,
Nice.
we could go on about this for a very long time. I do wanna I wanna go back
Okay.
to our other question, because I asked you how has coaching impacted you, and you touched on that, like, oh hey, it's brought so much in for my family, for my kids. Has there been any sort of change where like coaching has impacted your children?
Oof. Yeah, I keep saying oof a lot.
This
uh,
is a virtual conversation. I'm not
you're
there.
you're asking a lot of great questions, Ben.
Thank you.
So my kids are absolutely they're okay. Let me give you an example.
Please.
We were driving one day. My oldest son was 17 at the time. He's 23 now. And we were driving. And he's like, "Mom, isn't it so great that my dad was such an uh, jerk?" Yeah, exactly. And I went, "What?" And he goes, "Yeah, because look at our life. Look where we live. You got to raise us the way you wanted. We love it. We love our life." And I just was like, "Yes!" Like for my son to approach life like that is all I want. Is all I want for them. Because when you can look at life like that, you can enjoy your life. Because life is happening for us and everything is here to help us. That is my philosophy. Life is happening for us, not sometimes, not when it's convenient, not when we expect it to, but always. And everything is here to help us. And so when you have that philosophy, life is freaking amazing. And so yeah, now my kids are coaches. They have a boys club. They mentor kids. Why? Because they've gone through 8 years of coaching with this same mentor. I ended mine time 2 years ago, but they still see him every week, and he taught them how to mentor, and now that's what they do. So has coaching affected them? Yes, yes, it has.
Wow. That like, Pikachu needs to give a little hand clap to that.
And they also teach music. They're professional musicians. They're unbelievable. They have a band named Mad Max Resistance, and they're epic. Yep.
That's awesome. That have you ever seen the movie called The Sandlot, the first one?
Yes, yes, I think so.
Uh,
It's been a long time though.
I know that's oh, I'm sorry, internet. My age is showing.
Is that where Smalls is? You're killing me,
Yes.
Smalls?
Yes,
Okay.
that's where You're Killing Me Smalls is from.
Yeah.
There's a really great like line in that movie where Benny is like having his dream, and like Babe Ruth comes in to talk to him. It's like, I can't go over that fence. Like, why not? It's like, because there's a big dog over there. It's like, all right, look, everyone gets like one shot to do something great, and most people don't recognize it when it shows up or when it spits on their shoe, but you get one shot. You either go for it or you don't. It's your choice.
Uh-huh. Exactly. Take the opportunity.
Yeah. That's exactly it. You're handed opportunities. You're not just, you know, get like you're not just you because you're you. You're not just granted your identity because of whatever circumstances.
Exactly.
So, Amy, I have one question. Where can people find you?
Yay, thank you. Yeah, you can find me at amyjoycoaching.com. That's my website, and you'll find all kinds of goodies there. I do group coaching, private coaching, independent healing sessions. I have retreats coming up next year. Again, it's lots of fun.
And on top of that, the link that has been scrolling past us is getyourshittogether.life. Where does that take us?
That takes you right to Amazon, where you can get your own copy of Get Your Shit Together. If you know anyone who's in an abusive situation, please gift this to them. It's a step-by-step on how to reclaim their life and to hopefully leave and stay gone. And they hopefully can see my story as an example of how to do that. But it's really for anyone who knows they have programming that isn't serving them. And it's a step-by-step on how to design the life that you want.
That is fantastic. I for sure am going to be rolling on over to Amazon. So, ladies and gentlemen, go and check out Amy's website. Go and check out, she's got some retreats coming up. If you've enjoyed this episode, go and check out amyjoycoaching.com. We'll be back next week for another amazing episode of My Cool Friends. Until then, ladies and gentlemen, be sure to stay safe and stay healthy and have a fantastic weekend. I have been your host. My name is Ben Ebig. Have an amazing day.
Thank you.